this also sounds like a scam. Anybody and their mom would be like, oh, well, you want to use my song for the reboot of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? I asked other artists that I know that are actually like really sync heavy, and they were like, nah, it looks legit. They didn't even tell me what episode it was going to be in or if they were even still going to use it. I just woke up to 10 different DMs and people were like, bro, your song is on Bel-Air.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of the One More Time podcast. I'm Playback Ben here with my co-host,
Henry the Three, a.k.a. the Trap Jack Black.
Trap Jack Black. Who do we have here in the middle?
Welcoming in on episode 82 of the One More Time podcast, straight out of Chicago, Illinois, Mr. Capalot himself, Polo G.
You know what's fucking hilarious? I have a homegirl from Miami. She's been calling me Polo G for the past month and a half. And she literally just called me Polo G last night.
So it's a decent one then.
So yeah, I can't even be mad at it at this point.
Yes. Yeah, Henry actually hit her up and asked, like, who should I roast Cam the Artisan as? So yeah,
who is actually...
Spoiler alert, we have Mr. Cam the Artisan here, a.k.a. Artie McFly.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you're fresh off of an NBA TV sync placement.
Oh, man, yeah.
Like, what is the piece of content that used your song How High? Like, what is that? Like a trailer for a game or something? Or like, what is it?
Yeah, so from what I've seen, because apparently there's more than the two that I've posted so far.
Okay, nice.
So the ones that I've seen, one is it's like transitioning into commercial break, and they're playing the highlights of whatever team is winning at that point, and then they put How High in that segment. So that was the first clip I saw, and then the second clip that I found, it was a pregame kind of like situation where, it's like this team versus this team, and they're playing How High in the back, and that one was cooler because they actually put my name and the title of the song at the bottom.
That's automatically
I thought
cooler.
you put that on there.
No, bro.
The NBA
yeah, like they put
shouted out How High and oh man, I thought you were just like, in case anyone wants to know, this is my song.
Nah, that was them for sure.
Wow.
Shout out to them for that.
How does that feel, man?
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, I don't watch basketball like that just because I don't have the time to, but
who cares? I don't watch the NFL, but if my song's on,
right.
Sunday, that's got to feel incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely a surreal feeling. I teared up a little bit just because I get in moments of time and space where I feel like I'm not doing enough, or I'm not at a certain level in my career, just where I'm at personally, and then things like that happen, especially being attached to specific brands like the NBA or the NFL. I apparently have some NFL syncs too, but I haven't seen any yet. But wow. Yeah, that's just a crazy fucking feeling. I love it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we talked to Grip's manager, Tig. I think he's the one that brought her. Maybe it was Deshaun actually talking about like him and Childish Major. It was Deshaun talking about Childish Major. They got approached by, I think it actually was the NFL or whatever for Madden.
Okay.
Or sorry, not NFL, but EA for Madden. Mm-hmm. And they made a song specifically like for a football game.
Wow.
Did you make How High at all thinking that it was like going to be an NBA song?
No, not at all. My intention with that song really was just to showcase lyrical ability, of course, but also I wanted to just based on the music that I had out before and prior to that song coming out, I just wanted to make a statement. And it's like at this point, like, what else do I have to do? How much higher can I go? Just because I've done the streams, I've done the shows. Like, what more do I have to do to prove that I'm supposed to be here? Pretty much.
Yeah.
So how does it find its way to the NBA? Did you realize later this might be a good fit? Did someone else tell you this would be great? Did you just happen to meet someone that asked if you had anything for them?
Yeah, it was more so just like meeting someone in the industry. Shout out to my homegirl Simran. She kind of like set the play up, and then I remember I just got a random email at like 2 a.m. from the NBA. Basically, there was like, hey, like we want to license your song How High for any content that we have coming up for any of the games. Reply to this email saying yes if you would like to have it. I just say, yeah, fuck yeah.
Goddamn right.
Go
wow.
ahead.
Yeah, it's beautiful because obviously you wrote it somewhat of this like struggle, but like almost it's got this like triumphant feel to it. But then of course the NBA can take it in different ways, and like how high are you jumping, and like, you know, dunking, whatever. So I thought it was like a perfect sync, of course. And I was just like, yo, that is fire.
How stoned are you?
That's probably what they were going for when they played it. No, that's interesting. So basically your advice to people who are trying to get syncs is like, as with everything, it's just the networking of, you know, having people who look at you and they're like thinking about you when they got plays.
Yeah, it's that. And also too, like, especially recently, I've just been getting really fucking lucky with shit like that. Like even Bel-Air placing brown skin in one of their episodes, like that was just like a random lucky situation. I just got a DM from some white guy. He was just like, hey, are you you know, do you own the rights to this song? Is this your song? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, you know, like, as an artist, you got to be really careful with shit like that, because it's like, niggas might be scamming type shit. Or
that white guy is probably wanting to steal it. Yeah, for sure.
So I was just like, yeah, like, if, you know, I'm curious to know why you're reaching out for this specific song for whatever. Like, if you want to set up a phone call, we could do that. He was like, no, like, we're trying to find songs for, like, Bel-Air. And I'm like, okay, this also sounds like a scam, because of course, anybody and their mom would be like, oh, well, you want to use my song for the fucking reboot of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? So we had, you know, genuine conversations. I asked other artists that I know that are actually like really sync heavy. And they were like, nah, it looks legit. Like, go for it. And then they sent the contract over, the paperwork. I sent invoice, all of that back. And then they didn't even tell me what episode it was going to be in, or if they were even still going to use it. I just woke up to 10 different DMs and people were like, bro, your song is on Bel-Air.
Damn, that's
so fire.
dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, yeah, you got to watch all the episodes to see if your song gets. It's like their way of getting viewership.
Yeah, I get it.
They send it to a million artists of like just to make them watch the show.
I've heard of people getting paid for sync too, and they don't end up using it, but you still get paid.
That's fire, kind of. I guess I would still rather like have the song played.
Yeah, you know? But take the check.
Yeah. So how much did it contribute to like increase in streams? Like, did you see a like correlation at all, or was it?
Yeah, definitely. So especially for that song, the stream shot up, and it's a good thing too, because you have, especially with these algorithms on Instagram now, you have a lot of people that don't hear the music that you put out, and they're actually invested in you, but they just don't see it. So I had a homegirl of mine, she reached out, she was like, bro, I was watching that episode, that song stood out so much, I Shazammed it, and then I find out it's you. And she just went crazy, like, as far as like, bro, I'm so proud of you, whatever you fucking do not stop. Like, you have it, like, you have something, you're special, just keep going. So is stuff like that just makes me feel so good about, you know, what I'm doing.
Motivating.
That's fire.
Yeah.
How deep do you get into like analytics and stuff? Do you dive?
Yeah, not as heavy as I used to, just because I try not to put myself in a mental position where I feel like I'm not doing enough.
Sure.
Oh, you can drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, I'm overly critical. I'm a hardcore perfectionist, so it gets to a point to where I'm like, all right, I'm just not gonna look at the streams. Like, even when I drop music, I don't check my stats until like a month after.
That's kind of smart.
Yeah.
I mean, or at least for your mental, like, you know, maybe others would disagree of like.
Maybe get someone else to check them for you.
No, but I catch myself refreshing the fucking YouTube to see how our like episodes are doing, and like our TikToks to see how our TikToks are doing and shit. Like,
stressful.
I even find myself fucking, and you know, it's like way more intimate when it's a piece of art, you know, like, of course this is like our own little creative venture, you know, don't get me wrong, but like, it's different. I feel like when it's like you poured your heart and soul, like I'm just up here talking to people.
You don't want to get to a point to where a day after you release something, you wake up and it's like, oh, it only has 15 views. Fuck. Like, I thought this was a hit. Cause I get like that too. Cause me having a track record of having high streaming songs, it's a little underwhelming when you check the next day and it's like, damn, this shit's only at 1,000 plays. But mind you too, like when I first started, I could barely hit 1,000 plays. So it gives a little bit of perspective too. But
It's tough on Spotify when you don't get the 1,000 and they don't even show you the count unless it gets over.
it's like
1,000.
it's the icon.
I hate that. The less than. The fucking less than is like, damn.
Brutal.
Bruh.
Nah,
I would rather them just not put it
just
up
don't
there.
put it on there, bro. Like don't humiliate me.
That's interesting. Yeah, it is a weird thing, right? Especially even, you know, we've talked about this on another episode, like people that come out and even if it's not their first song, but whatever, they have a song that does really well.
Yeah.
It's like each release after that, you're putting so much fucking pressure on yourself to up the ante.
Yeah.
And it's unrealistic to some degree.
Yeah.
It's not a linear thing. Like you're gonna have songs that do well, then you're gonna have shit that doesn't. And like, you know, even major label artists like play that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's like tough, man, because you know, you do have that song that does 1 million streams and you're like, fuck, I'm only at 1,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot of thousands to go to the million.
And the music industry now being the type of environment where artists are rising and then falling off like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's got the anxiety that must come with that as an artist. Like
It's a lot of pressure.
If I don't, up it from the last song, then, you know, am I falling off? Is it over?
Yeah. So I wanted to get this out of the way, at least relatively early. Your first rap name was Shake and Bacon.
That's fucking crazy.
That is crazy.
Are you
That's
Nardwuar
crazy.
Jr.?
That's crazy.
He's the Nardwuar of podcasting.
No, but it's crazy that your first rap name was Shake and Bacon. But then I found out that, because I looked at a song credit on Spotify, your last name is Bacon.
Yeah.
So it's not as lame as I thought it was at first. I was like, oh, his last name's Bacon. Okay. But like, why'd you do that to yourself, man?
I mean, so a little backstory.
Yeah, what was going on through your head?
A little
there?
backstory. I initially started making music seriously my freshman year of high school.
As Shake and Bacon.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
he made serious music as Shake and Bacon.
He was 15 or 14 or whatever, you know.
Yeah, bro. So I can't help it. And, you know, as time progressed and I started maturing as an artist, I'm like, all right, we can't do Shake and Bacon, bro.
It's not gonna
Nobody's
cut it,
gonna be listening to somebody named Shake and Bacon. I don't believe that.
Yeah,
So,
it sounds like a Weird Owl.
I went through like 4 different name changes though. Like,
Let's hear 'em. Can we get 'em?
Yeah, I started. Initially, I was Shake and Bacon. Then I went to Gravity because I had a rap group, 9th grade.
OSG.
OSMG.
Oh, OSMG.
Yeah, it's
Shit,
good. No, it's
that
cool.
was
It's cool. It's
Almost.
cool. Almost. So because it was Outer Space Music Group, that's what it stood for. So I was just like, all right, I'll just switch it to Gravity. And then
Yo, what were the other people's names in the group? Like Mars,
Featuring Jupiter.
Galaxy,
Young asteroid.
Asteroid.
Black hole on the beat.
so the
Little
main
spaceship.
the main producer, his name was DJ Moonwalker.
Oh, that's
Okay.
kind of fire.
Yeah,
Actually
'cause-
kinda hard.
so his last name was Moon, so it made sense.
Y'all got cool last names.
Yeah.
Schultz and McTeer over here.
Yeah, fuck. A
Really
bunch
lame.
of Scott Irish and
Yeah,
Germans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck, I can't even remember. That was so long ago.
I don't know, Moonwalker and Gravity is
Moonwalker,
cool enough. I
Gravity.
guess.
And then after that, I switched it to Gravity the Artisan, and then I switched it to just the Artisan. And then when I finally made my Instagram, I couldn't use the Artisan because somebody else had it. So I was like, all right, I'll just put Cam the Artisan. And then it kind of just stuck after that because when people would see me in person, it's like, oh, you're Cam the Artisan. So I'm like, yeah. And so I just was like, all right, cool. Like, I got the LLC. Put
Oh,
back
it
up.
was like you're Cam, comma the art. They were
Artisan.
like just saying you're the Cam, that's the Artisan.
Exactly.
Okay, and then you're like, oh, that's
That
kind of
sounds
hard.
kind of good.
Yeah. So I was like, all right,
It was rolling off the tongue.
I'll use it. Fuck it.
I wonder how many
Okay.
artists ended up with their name because
of confusion.
like something was taken. No, because something was taken on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
had
a
to pivot on
gym.
that.
You should do your fucking research on Spotify and socials to make sure, like, artists, when you're thinking about becoming an artist, like,
Tell 'em.
think critically about this shit
Yeah,
because
bro.
we've gone through a rebrand, another back rebrand. We've gone through a whole bunch of things, man.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's fire, man. Okay, so yeah, so you know, obviously you're Cam the Artisan. Artie McFly is another, you know, alias, right? So you're all about the art, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
you've talked about this in other interviews and just in some of your content. Like, you obsess over this shit.
Yeah.
And like, what is your definition of art?
Art, I mean, obviously art is subjective, but for me, it's something that stands out. Like you don't understand it at first. It's something that kind of grows on you over time. And that's kind of how I've always wanted to approach making music, my videos. Like even me, like I pay attention to detail, like to the T. I never want to just do a video just to be like, all right, like here's the video, fuck y'all, like go watch the video, like run my views up. Like no, when you watch the video, I want you to rewatch it and then find like circles, for example. Like I want you to find like the 3 circular signs that I had in the top right corner of scene like 000 or you know some shit like that, right? Or you know whatever. But that's just kind of how I approach things, and just understanding how modern art is, or just art in any medium, whether it be videography, fashion, whatever. Like there's always a bottom basis to it. And I always just want to make sure when I do things, make music, create content, film videos or whatever, like I just want to make sure it's art. Like
Has depth.
it has depth to it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that what makes art good to you, right?
Yes.
Because it's that depth and like intention.
One of like a lot of my favorite albums, they have depth to them. Like I don't like this age of having an album with a bunch of singles on it. Like for me to really enjoy an album, I have to listen to it all the way through, not understand it at first, and then give it a week, re-listen to it. Okay, like I understand why he keeps saying this in track 2, 5, 6, and 8. And then listening to it that third time, okay, I see why this half of the album sounds more moody, and then the second half of the album sounds more bright, because it's a 2, whatever the fuck. I'm just a nerd with shit like that. So like a lot of my favorite albums of all time, like Igor by Tyler, the Creator, perfect example. To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick, obviously. Like just albums like those are really what gravitates me towards how I approach what I do. And then also too, like, bro, nobody really cares anymore. And that's the crazy part. Like nobody cares about really just like pushing the boundaries of themselves and their artistic creation. And I think we're missing a lot of that, just not even just with hip hop, but just in general. And I just want to be like the forefront of that in this next generation.
It's crazy. I love when guests like steal the next question out of my head. And my literal next question was, how much does the art side of music matter right now, bro?
Oh, it definitely doesn't matter now. I mean, the people that really
Is that
care,
discouraging though?
It is, because you kind of see the decline, and you understand why. Like you understand, like, well, obviously that doesn't sell as many records as fucking Her Lost Drake album or whatever,
because our attention spans are fucking shrinking by the second.
Yeah, but when you look back at everyone that has those quote unquote classic albums and those moments, like those end up being the projects, the rollouts, everything included. Those end up being the things that we kind of love the most. And you know, no shade to like Drake or anything, or like just anybody that just does the album and just puts it out. Like no shade to them at all, because there's a thing for everybody, and everybody can't do that. But I feel like the people that actually do want to do it, go for it. Like, because I've been doing it, I've been finding success with it. Bro, like my mentality now is fuck what everybody else is thinking about how I approach what it is that I do. If they don't get it, that's fine. If I can just get one person to really just sit back and be like, you know what? Nah, this kid is cool, just because he like really cares about the smallest shit. And then just with me being a perfectionist, it doesn't make it any better. So if I and also like my mentality too when I make music, I have to allow myself. So if I was a person that just hated everything, if I was Scrooge, right? Ebenezer Scrooge.
Like Henry.
Exactly. Right?
If you were Henry.
If I was Henry,
just a grumpy old man over there.
what would I have to do to allow that person to fall in love with what it is that I'm doing? Because if you take that approach to it, obviously like the average like normal people are just gonna fuck with it off the strength. But if you can get the people that's like really hard to grab, it's like, oh, like it's cool, but da 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 da. If you can grab those people, like you're good.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I think what you said about like the ones that are making those types of projects where there's a lot of attention to detail, there's a huge like thought process that goes into it. It's got deep layers to it, whatever. I do think that those are the ones that can like stand the test of time.
Yeah.
But it's the majority of like the middle of like what is just like reaching a certain level of success and like people fuck with it like in the moment and then it probably goes away in a month, whatever. That's where they're not necessarily caring about that.
Yeah.
But I do agree that like if you're willing to take, that's a huge risk though. If you're willing to take that risk and like pour your heart and soul and like intention into this shit, have it take longer, have it be harder, whatever. There is that like small chance that it is going to break through as something that people are talking about for, you know, shit. When did To Pimp a Butterfly come out? I mean,
2015.
7 years, and it's not going to go away in conversation for a while.
No.
Right. So that's how I always view it, is that like, it really depends on your goals. Right. And just, I always say this still, make whatever the fuck you want at the end of the day, because this is still like, if you want to live with yourself every day and for the foreseeable future, like
you gotta love it.
You gotta love it, whether it's the quick onesie twosies, you know, loosies and that approach, or whether it's the approach that you're taking. Like you got to be able to live with it regardless. And you got to be able to live with the success or the, you know, quote unquote failure of it. You know what I mean?
So I've always said that the best music has both, like on the first listen, it grabs me. There's something cool about it, and it gets me interested on the first listen. But when I keep listening, I'm still discovering new things, and it does have depth to it. I think both kind of aspects are important.
Yeah,
because you know, especially in you know today's day and age, a song that has a bunch of depth, you know, when people are scrolling TikTok like this, there's no shot that you're going to grab them. So do you put any thought into? I know you have the depth part of it, but do you ever think about how people will perceive something just off the first listen?
Yeah, and that's kind of what my approach was when I released my last record, Circles. I wanted to make sure that even if you were to scroll on TikTok, the 5 seconds, the 3 to 5 seconds that you do catch before you're like, oh, I don't fuck with this, it's got to be something that catches your ear, whether it be the melody, the change of like the pace of the beat, the lyrics, like the toxicity in the lyrics, like it's going to be something within that 3 seconds that you decide if you want to continue watching it or not. And even now, just like what I'm working on project wise, I'm like, all right, if I had 1,000 people to just kind of speed run through this project and just be like, oh well, like I'm gonna just like skim through it, like I don't really give a fuck. You have to put those nuances in there, and that's like, oh shit, like all right, like let me see if I fuck with it real quick, and then at that point, like you get people invested, you get people to care, and then once you get people to care, that allows them to listen to the rest of it, the older shit, and that allows them to be engaged for when the newer shit after that comes out.
Yeah, they start putting all the pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah,
and they become like a deeper fan, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're a real like artiste. You know, there's like artists and then there's like artistes, you know, it's kind of like that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you mentioned, you know, Tyler and Kendrick as two prime examples of similar like styles in that regard, right? Yeah. Who are some of the others that are like doing it the way that you know, kind of like to approach it? Yeah. Or like, yeah, exactly. The ones you're looking at of like the recipe at least is there.
So yeah, Kendrick and Tyler for sure. I would say Gambino, really, really strong candidate for me in that regard. I'm trying to.
Damn, during the interview, Henry.
That's wild.
That's rough.
That's wild. I mean, that's really my top 3.
Yeah.
As far as just like the layering of it. I'm a really big fan of Billie Eilish too. So
I love Billie, bro.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like you would think like, can't fuck with Billie Eilish. Yeah, I'll fuck with Billie Eilish.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I do think she takes that, you know, intentional approach.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you look at all the like documentary stuff on like her and Phineas and like the way they approach making music, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think what's really cool about her, which I know you've done as well, is like she's directed a lot of her music videos recently, at least,
Yeah.
I mean, a ton of the big ones.
Yeah.
And you've also directed at least
About
a handful.
slightly.
Right?
So, all right. So
Co-directed, maybe.
yeah. So especially with the last few, I've definitely like kind of stepped into that role more. So like even my first couple videos, so Bliss, I directed that fully. Where You At? I had a little bit of help from the director. Brown Skin was fully directed by me. I don't even remember all my videos. Circles for sure. Believe It was for sure with a little bit of help from the videographer. But for the most part, bro, like I don't. Bless you. You good?
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna make it.
Nah. So for the most part, I definitely try to step into that director role just because that's just how my mind works. Like I can't just let somebody else just be like, yo, like let me do this for you. It's like, bro, no. Because
Is it a control thing?
Not necessarily. It's just when I make music, I see it by the time I finish the record. Like I see what the vision is, and just because I'm a creator, I just have to have like some sort of like large involvement in it to where I feel like, okay, like this is mine. Like, and when you look at everything that I've done video wise, you can kind of tell the growth too, just like in my taste and how I like this lens on this camera and how I want this angle now. Like is if you really pay attention, you can see the growth. But I just really like to be a part of everything that I do. That's just how I am.
I think we've all seen a video that doesn't necessarily match up with the song.
Yeah.
And it's kind of jarring.
Yeah.
You know, it can throw
like,
you off.
Probably the vast majority, bro. Because like when he mentioned like I don't just like shoot a video for the sake of like putting it up and being like, you know, go run my views up. I was like, oh my God, he just literally did a perfect impression of like 99% of artists out there. You know, and it's like, you know, once again, I think that if you want to live in this like middle ground of like, you know, you can get hella views and like you can reach a certain degree of like notoriety for sure doing it that way. So no shade if you want to pull up to the gas station, you want to pull up to the you know the block and with your homies and you know get a bunch of just people like turning up.
Yeah.
Those videos go the fuck up. I mean, like
they do.
So it's not even to throw shade at it. It's just a matter of like that's just not you.
That's just not. I mean, you know, there will be times where I am like, yeah, you know, we can just do something simple. Like for the Believe It video, I wanted to scale it down a little bit, make it, you know, more fun. But just I just
that was still the one with the balloons and shit, right?
Yeah.
That shit was still crazy, bro. What are you talking about? Like, go check that video out, y'all. And
That's the simple video.
And you'll literally be like, what the fuck is this dude talking about? Yeah, not simple. Like, not what I'm talking about. When I say simple, I mean you called the video guy and showed up.
Just showed
Run and
up,
gun.
showed up. Yeah, okay. I got you.
Maybe simple by your standards, but
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So you just gotta like, it just because if you see something in your head, I feel like you'd be like disappointed if it was anything else. Right?
Yeah, because also too, like I like to attach my music to a visual element, just because when you look at, so like Kanye is a great example too, right? For Dark Twisted Fantasy, the full length like visual he did for that.
Wild.
It's like once you finish something, or once you're like working on something and you have a specific vision for it, the artist in you isn't just gonna let you just be like, all right, like I'll just call like Director X and like he'll shoot it and we'll be good. Like, cause I mean, and we've seen it in his documentary. Like he shot the Jesus Walks video 2-3 different times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you just know in your heart and in your soul that something has to look and feel a certain way, you can't just not do that. Like it just because you live with regret after that, when you're like, fuck, I wish we would have did it like this. Because then you see you see people that watch it and they're like, oh, like it was a cool video, and it's like, fuck, we should have went with my idea. Like it's just I hate to have regrets like that.
Yeah, I think that, when you are in control of a lot of the process,
Yeah.
it is like, it's either like your back to pat or like your own throat to choke type of shit,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like,
That's a good one.
Thank you.
Pause.
Pause, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. So like, do you think that you being so intentional though and whatnot, like, do you think that holds you back at all?
Yes, for sure. I'll admit it. There have been times where I will slow down processes just with me over analyzing and criticizing something. Like, for example, I have 2 videos that were shot that y'all will never see the light of day. And it kind of like fucks up the entire rollout. It fucks up just how cohesive things should be. And like for me, like it just slows the process down. Like I'm not really an artist that feels like I have to just rush and do shit. But when it does come time to where it's like, all right, like things need to be ready, like I do get to a point to where I'm like, well, like we need to like see if we can shoot this shit at the top of the Atlanta skyline. If not, then like I'm not doing it. And because like I don't have anyone really helping me for real. Like I don't have someone to be like, no, like let's try it this way, or let's like figure out a different strategy and like go with that. Like I don't really have that right now. So
Do you think that's because of maybe like a lack of trusting someone with your vision?
yeah, definitely. Because also too, like,
Are you single?
Yes.
There you go.
Does any of this,
For quote unquote, I mean,
does any of this bleed over
I
into your,
I might get in trouble for saying that.
oh shit.
But we'll see.
All right. Yeah.
We'll see.
But like, do you think, like, are you kind of a, paranoid when it comes to like people? Yeah. Like people, that are in your circle. And cause I know you've had people come in and out and like whatever.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's typical some, but like at the same time, your experience maybe has been like people that have gotten close to you. I don't know. Like, has that happened where?
I will say this. I do believe, and not to say that I'm right all the time, but I feel like with the way that my upbringing is and just like my faith and things of that nature, I feel like I have ideas in certain sections of my mind for a reason. I understand that not everything can be executed exactly how I want it to, and I'm learning that now. I'm learning to like kind of fall back from being a perfectionist slightly, which is something that I never thought I'd be able to get over. But with that, I do think that certain relationships with people, it has kind of not worked out simply because of just me wanting to be something and somebody that's kind of perceived as like a super creative, to where it's like, no, like, because like people have writers and people have like co-directors, but like I really want to be known as the person that does everything. And I understand, like, just in building relationships with certain people, a lot of people just aren't going to understand that or even fuck with it. And, that's fine. But I feel like the people that really do truly understand that, like, they'll get it, and they'll try to find a way to like work their way around it. And I think I haven't really, besides a few people, obviously, but I feel like there's not a lot of people that really truly understand it and is willing to be like, you know what, like, I understand where he's coming from, so let me just let him rock. And then if it doesn't work out, we can have a conversation about why it didn't work out. But if it does work out, all right, Cam, like I trust you, like let's rock. And as far as like me trusting people, like I don't trust a lot of people just in general too, just because of like a lot of trauma that I've had growing up.
Yeah.
But and not to say that I would never trust anyone, but you, especially as an adult too, like you see certain shit, you see certain patterns. It's like, bro, like what are you doing? Like you call shit out, because if you let it slide, they're just going to continue doing it. And when you see multiple people back to back, especially in this industry, and they show you like over a period of time that they're not to be trusted, like you kind of just like, you have to go with that. You can't you can't just sit back and be like, all right, like I'm gonna let you rock just because, you know, I still got love for you. It's like, no, like, bro, like you did some dumb shit. And also too, like I have a few people around me that I always ask questions. Like, I'm like, all right, am I wrong in this situation? Because if you don't have that, you never grow as a person to understand like where you might be wrong in a situation. So for me, like I have people where I'm like, all right, like hypothetically, if this happened to you and this happened, like how would you respond to that? And then if they agree with me, then like I know I'm not crazy because I know like, all right, well, and mind you too, it's multiple people. It's at least 10 people. So if 10 people are all saying the same thing and they're not even like-minded people, I always try to make sure I ask different types of people. That's like super important. So like even like any artist, like if you have people around you, like try to find the most different person to ask every single time. Because if you have people that are basically like-minded, it's kind of like an echo chamber to where it's like, oh, like, well, they said I wasn't wrong, so I'm good. And it's like,
yeah, it's a confirmation bias where
exactly.
It's like if you have 10 right-winged lunatics in a group, you're gonna all, and you know, once again, didn't mean to make this political, but I'm just saying,
no,
like,
you're being for real.
You know, you got a fucking, you know, bunch of that type of people, or even take the other extreme, you got a bunch of super liberal leftists, you know, socialists.
Yeah,
they're gonna talk themselves into like, this is absolutely correct, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that's super key, man. And I think that we talk about this a lot of like, you know, even like the artists I work with will come to me and I'm like, bro, I'm one guy with one opinion. I'm 31 with a kid. I don't live in your like actual world. Like I'm, you know, I'm tangential to all of this, right? I have the podcast. I talk to artists all the time. I talk to managers, whoever. But like, I'm one fucking dude.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what my opinion is.
Yeah.
But go ask like a bunch more people, bro. Like bunch more people, like that you know, to your point, like that are way different as well. Right. So I think that's huge, man, to be honest. So for you, like, what's the creative process like then? Right. Like from inception of the idea of a song or a project, right, to the execution and like, you know, release, like what, you know, how do you work?
Now I'm finding myself in a spot where I'm not trying to finish the song like as soon as I get the beat. Because in the past, I would get a beat and then I would be like, bro, I don't think I can make a great song with this, so I'm just not going to touch it. So now I'm kind of like being more open with myself, and normally I'll start with just the hook, or I'll do like the hook in the first verse, or even if I do the hook and then I do a like a reference of like how I would want the verse to sound, just like a
mumble track.
Yeah, just like a mumble track, and then listen to that for about a couple days, and then and sequencing is very important to me too. So especially like with melodies and shit. So once I listen to the song a couple times, I'm like, all right, this melody will definitely hook them in after the hook. Put this melody right here. Take this melody out because it doesn't make sense. Use this melody for the bridge instead, and then boom. And then I just kind of write off of the melody of the reference track. And then once I get to a point to where, cool, first verse is done, second verse is done, listen to it a bunch of times. And once I get to a point to where I find myself listening to the song over and over, it's like, all right, cool. And then for me, what my cheat code is, because like my entire family is like musically inclined, like literally everyone, I'll send it to like my parents. And then if they're like, nah, this is great, because they have a certain like ear for certain kinds of music.
Will they tell you like this is trash?
Nah, they won't even say it's trash. Like they'll just be like, oh, it's good. Like if it's like a okay song, it's like, no, it's good. But like,
and you know what that means.
I know what that means. But like, especially with my dad, because he's like a really like heavy jazz kind of person. And then
did he play any like instruments or anything?
Yeah,
or?
so my dad plays keys.
Okay, cool.
And I play drums, if you guys didn't know that.
Yeah, how about mom's?
She sings in the choir at church.
Okay, cool.
And then my sister, she plays bass guitar.
Dope. You ever gotten the whole like fam?
No.
Together?
Sounds like a band.
I was like, wait, keys, drums, bass, and vocals. I was like,
Nah, I don't.
Holy shit!
I don't think it'll ever get to that point, just because like
it'd be kind of fire.
I want to try it. I definitely want to have like a song where my dad plays keys for the outro.
Yeah.
But it's like as far as like my entire family on like one song, I'm just like, I don't know. Cause I know my dad is gonna want it this way, and then my mom, she's gonna want to sing her part this way. And it's like, Mom, like just sing this 4-bar part in this one melody. Like, you know, it's just certain stuff they don't get because they're older.
But they're like you, it sounds like.
Yeah, in a sense.
Yeah.
They know what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, fuck you, Mom. I don't want you to sing it like that. I have this vision in my head. Pop starts chiming in.
Right.
Sister's like, no, Cam, it should sound like this.
How did we get to fuck you, Mom, on this podcast?
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Mrs. Bacon.
We went
Mrs.
full heavy metal just now.
Yeah, seriously.
That's insane.
So how do you know when it's done? Is it when you start playing it over and over?
Yeah.
And you're able to like...
Yeah, like when I finally get to a point where I'm like, okay, like this is great, I do want to put this out, then yeah.
Does that take a while for you?
And do you wear it out? Because
Yeah.
I feel like artists wear it the fuck out.
You
man.
kind of have to, because again, you have to think of the longevity aspect of it. If again, me having the mindset of I have to get the person that hate everything's like approval on this. So like if I'm that person for myself, and if I love it, then you kind of have to go with your gut at that point and be like, all right, cool.
Okay, it's an interesting approach, because for me, the thing we talk about a lot is that like if you listen to it so much pre-release, then release time comes, you're just not as excited about it, and you're not going to put your full energy and
Might
like
slack on the
force
rollout.
behind the rollout.
But it's not up to you at that point.
Well, some of it is the work that it takes to like get people jazzed about the record. I mean,
that's on the artist though. Like if he gets to a point, or if she gets to a point to where like it's time to roll it out, and it's just like, oh, like I don't care, like let's just put it out. That's on them.
true. And I think to your point, if you're going for a song that people should be able to almost indefinitely listen to, which is like your bar that you're setting for yourself, which once again, people can say it's realistic or not. I mean, it's very tall order.
Right.
But if that is the metric that you're saying, then I guess I see what your point is. But I don't know. It's definitely something where I just, in talking to a lot of the artists, it's like they just love listening to their unreleased shit all the time. And I'm like, bro, you're gonna literally burn out or like get demoitis, where it's like you then start hating it because you hear something and you can't unfucking hear it, and it's like you only hear that because you're so close to it. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
I think as much effort as he puts into his songs and the depth that's in there, it's kind of like you can maybe stay interested in it longer.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot to this. I put a lot into this. I'm gonna stay like jazzed about it.
That's how I am when it comes to it. Because even now, like I got my Apple replay back, and I didn't realize I was listening to myself so much this.
Were you your top artist?
I was top 5 actually, and then 3 of my songs were like in the top 10 songs.
Okay,
it was in the top 10.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's fucking weird. I didn't realize I was listening to myself that much.
I guarantee you're not alone.
Yeah.
I will guarantee that there's a lot of artists out there not putting their Spotify rap. They're sharing all their fans' Spotify rap. They're not putting theirs out there.
Yeah.
It's like, it will be a lot of people of like, artist A has artist A as their top artist. You know what I mean? It's like, that's crazy.
Just running just the repeat one while they sleep. On minimum volume.
Oh no, I'm not one of those artists that's like, all right, like let me play this shit so I can run my streams up. I fucking hate people like that.
That's annoying.
And that's just not gonna actually do
But
you're gonna make 75 cents. Like, congratulations.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
speaking of, have you guys watched the Spotify docudrama on Netflix?
No.
So basically it's like, once again, docudrama. So it's like based on, I guess, the events of Spotify's like inception, right? Like the origin story of Spotify, how it was created. And then like the story of Daniel Ek and how he became one of the most hated people in the music industry, right?
By artists.
By artists.
Yeah.
Who he, of course, like, it was a big part of like him wanting to make it better, because you do have to like realize, at least the docudrama calls this out. He was coming in. Pirate Bay was the fucking bee's knees of like free music, right?
Yep.
No one else was doing it.
Right.
So he was at least like, okay, let me make music free and legal and high quality and a beautiful, like, player experience, right? For the consumer.
Yeah.
And like, that's all good and well. But like, how do you feel about, you know, as an artist, you do have millions of streams on some of your songs.
Yeah.
You know, I doubt that bought you.
Yeah, you got 10 grand off that maybe?
I doubt that bought you the Phantom that's sitting in the parking lot right now.
Nah.
You must have other businesses because it's a tough game out there.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, 1 million streams is like a few $1,000s or something, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about Spotify as a platform, right? And I guess the competitors now, like Apple Music, whatever, this was focused on Spotify, but like, how do you feel about it, right? Do you think that it's overall good for artists like you, or is it overall detrimental to the well-being of, like, you know, independent artists that are trying to make a career off of music?
Yeah, because I mean, you have to realize too, like it takes so many streams to even count an album sale. Like
1,500.
yeah, like, and I forgot the math, but somebody was saying like you can listen to like an album like or a song every day for like 7 years, and like an artist still wouldn't make, I think, like $1,000. Like they wouldn't sell a certain amount of like albums or whatever, and like that's crazy because remember we were at a time where you buy a CD $10, $15, depending on if it's a deluxe or not, or if, you know, some special edition shit. Like that goes straight to an album sale. Like now we have to overplay something to even count as one album sale. And that's just wild to me. Like even me, like with the sync shit, just like I have to find other avenues of making money from my music instead of just streaming. I feel like we should be at a point, especially as like independent artists that's still trying to get to a certain level. I feel like we should be able to lean on our streaming more so than having to like build relationships with like sync agents and like doing shows and shit. I feel like over time, because even me, like I've been in a position where like I could sit back and be like, I don't have to do shit, bro. I'm getting like 5,000, 10,000 streams a day. Like I'm good. You know what I mean? Like you, especially how like things are going now with how fast paced stuff is, you can't even like really relax at this point. Like you kind of have to do the drop a song a day type shit, which I'll never fucking do. I can't, not even saying I can't do it, but that's just not, you don't allow people to really like invest in certain shit. And then because you're releasing songs so often, the like really good shit might end up getting overlooked because you have 10 other songs that you dropped after that people still have to like keep up with. You know what I mean? So, I mean, as far as like Spotify, like I fuck with Spotify because Spotify is really the only platform where I have hella millions of streams. But at the end of the day, it's not sustainable for artists trying to actually make money from it.
Yeah. It's, you know, spoiler alert, but like towards the end, they said it in the future, right? So like towards the end of the docudrama, it's like year 2025 and it like hypothesizes what the state of everything is. I'm not going to like give away more than that, but it was just interesting of like where this shit's still going. Like they're, you know, artists are like lobbying super hard still to like get a fixed stream rate where it's like, because the math is so fucking complicated.
Yeah,
it's like percentages of revenues and premium accounts and free accounts get different this and that. And like, then what most people don't know, and like do your fucking homework, but what most people don't understand is that the major labels are the primary investors in Spotify. Yeah. So it's like this, just to your point, like, you know, confirmation loop or like, you know, whatever you, yeah, exactly. It's so fucking crazy. It's just stuff I try not to think about because I'm a Spotify user. Yeah. And that's where I listen to my music. Yeah. And I wish I could say that as much as I stream my homies' music, like I was bumping your shit all the last, like, you know, several days straight because I was wanting to prepare and like, you know, just was getting into it and whatnot. It didn't help you even buy lunch, bro. No. It didn't even help you buy lunch. No, and that's just like, you know, it's sad. And I wish that it wasn't the case. But then the argument is about like the exposure that you can get and the fans you can reach as opposed to if we were just in a physical world where like you would have to go slang your fucking mixtapes out at the back of your truck, you know, only in Atlanta, or you'd have to be driving to other cities and doing that and, you know, whatever. So I don't know. I think
artists are figuring out ways to do it. I'm seeing a lot of artists like doing direct sales. They'll sell their music like only on their websites. You know, artists are getting on Twitch where people can subscribe to them for whatever, $6 a month. Yeah. Artists are doing NFT projects where people can, have access to them in a certain way. And so I think it's, I don't think streaming's going anywhere. I think you have to kind of be on Spotify and Apple, like you said, to get that exposure. But artists should be looking at other avenues to let their super fans become more of super fans and spend more money on them, besides maybe going to a show a year, buying a t-shirt. That stuff's great. But, if you can allow access and certain things, I think there are people you'll find that are willing to spend more.
For sure.
And I guess what's interesting for me is that, like, honestly, since the inception of the CD burner, right? The people that wanted free music have pretty much been able to get a lot of free music for a very long time.
For sure.
Yeah.
So even pre-internet, right? When it was like, just CD burners, I remember I was burning the fuck out of some CDs, bro. Like my homie had one from some album. I was burning that shit for free. For sure, right?
You can't stop it.
Yeah. And so then, then the internet comes around and
YouTube to MP3. I mean, it's a classic.
So I think that, like, we live in a day and age where, like, at the end of the day, to your point, if people want to support you, like, what are we going to do? Like, hold the album over their head and, like, you got to pay for it. Like, no, like, if they want to pay for it, they're going to figure out a way to support you. You know what I mean? But that comes back to the, like, responsibility on the artist of, like, you got to build a fucking fan base that actually gives a flying fuck to spend money, right? Because at this point, we can spend our money on a lot. I could take a girl to a movie and, dinner date over buying, the physical album, like whatever. Like, there's a lot of things vying for, like, people's attention and people's money. So, like, it's y'all's job, as artists, which I don't envy the responsibility that you have and, like, the task that you have of, like, keeping people interested enough to give you their time and open their fucking wallets. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, I've been in a fortunate enough space where I've had people buy merch, and my last project, I had 100 CDs, like physical copies, and I'm grateful enough to say that I've sold all of them. So, it's just doing the groundwork and putting yourself in a position to where people give a fuck. Like, and I don't think a lot of artists understand that. Like, yeah, it's cool to have really good music, but also too, like, what's the other one or two key things that allow people to really want to give a fuck about you?
So what do you think that is for you?
I just think I'm a cool individual. Everybody loves me. I feel like
I love you. Henry loves you.
I love you too.
Yeah.
I love you.
This is just a love fest going on here. One more time, love fest.
Nah,
At least we can all feel better about ourselves tonight. I'm going home like, Cam loves me. My wife's like, why are you so happy? Somebody loves me.
Cam loves me. Nah, I do believe, just like me being the person that I am, I feel like I'm a very genuine person. I never try to put myself in a position to where people feel like I'm trying to, like, finesse them or do some shady shit with them or whatever. I'm a really, like, nice person too, and I think people don't see that a lot, and then people are just like, Cam is just such a nice person, like. And then it's like, if I do get into a position where I get upset, and it's like, how the fuck you make Cam upset?
You done pissed off Cam?
Yeah, it's like, damn,
hard to do.
That's so hard to do, bro. And then just, like, again, on top of that, having really good music and showing people, like, hey, like, I really care about this thing. So, like, if you guys, what's up? Y'all got ghosts?
Exactly.
He must have just dropped a bar or something.
I hope so.
That was interesting.
I think it was all the love that was going on.
Overabundance of love.
Yeah. We sucked the energy out of the lights. God. Christ.
Damn, I forgot what I was saying. But
so you want to know what I think it is about you, man? Because I think you need to hear this from someone who is, like, a fan now, right? Like, I think that, and shit, Ray Daniels will, hate me for saying this, but, like, I think it's your ability, honestly, to pull off, like, the fashion and, like, fucking modeling, like, look too, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, like, a lot of rappers and, like, artists have that shit on.
Yeah.
That's like minimum of being able to, like, look cool, right?
Facts.
But, like, your ability to, literally look like you should be on, like, a fucking Gucci ad or some shit, right? Like, to be able to, like, really put that, like, like, real slick, like, just fly, like, kind of like formal meets, like, hip type of like, fashion sense.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is, we talk about like multiple revenue streams and shit. It is funny though, because, shout out Ray Daniels, who we're supposed to have on the podcast soon.
Okay.
We interviewed him briefly at the Beer and Tacos event that we were at, but he talked about on his podcast of, man, when an artist comes in and says I'm multi-talented and they go, yeah, I'm an artist, a model, an actress. He literally immediately says, get the fuck out. Because his point was, and once again, I don't necessarily agree in today's climate. I think you do somewhat have to be a hyphenate to make a fucking living. But
for sure.
His point was that like, you're clearly not taking your artistry serious enough. So he would actually be proud that you didn't say you're like this fashionista, like model character, but I'm thinking like, bro, get that modeling bag, bro, right. Because like you look fucking sweet, like in some of these like photo shoots and shit that I've like seen. Yeah,
and I don't know this to models, but I don't think that takes very much of your time, right? I mean, you don't have to like study.
Modeling's like the easiest job.
I mean, like it just depends too, because I know for certain industries, like in like the section of modeling, like you do have to like fit a certain criteria. But I feel like with the things that I've done on a modeling aspect, whether it be for Vans, American Eagle, Forever 21, whoever.
So you have done a bunch of like, like official stuff. Okay, cool.
Yeah, like, and
honestly, you've like wiped your Instagram. You're one of those characters.
I was trying to find that, bro. I hate I wiped it for like before this podcast, and also too, you could have asked me like,
but I mean, we're talking about it now. Yeah, so like, so you have actually tapped into that like on an official level, not just like me looking at you like, yo, he looks like he should be on a fucking Gucci ad.
Not just you crushing over there.
Nah, so
abundance of love.
I've done Vans. I've done. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this guy named Tyler Mitchell, but he he shot Beyonce for like a Vogue cover like a long time ago. And that's kind of how I don't know what his situation was before or during or after that, but I've shot with him, American Eagle. I've shot with a mattress company, which is fucking hilarious.
Why not?
Let me see who else. Forever 21, and
what was your favorite brand to work with?
American Eagle, just because they paid me the most.
Oh,
but and
so come with the bag and Camel just say that was a whole brand.
that was a whole like experience too. Like that was the first time like I actually got flown to like a different state and like they paid for everything. And
so you felt like, oh, I'm a legit model right now.
So like that's why that one was my favorite. And also too, like,
so where'd they fly you?
I went to LA. So cool. I was in LA for like a long period of time, but it was funny because as I was transitioning back to Atlanta, they were like, oh, like we need you in LA. So I was like, all right, cool. Like, I guess I'll just go back.
Yeah.
I guess LA does not want me to leave.
No, they're calling you.
So that was really cool. We ended up shooting in Topanga, which is like
Boy Meets World.
I was like, Topanga Lawrence? I was like, wait, Corey Matthews' girlfriend? Yo, are we dating ourselves? I think we are.
Yeah, definitely.
None of our audience has got any fucking clue what Boy Meets World is.
Probably not. Yeah.
No, I'm familiar. Okay. I wasn't even thinking. Yeah, I'm not that young.
Actually, there's rappers have songs. There's a song called Topanga.
She was
Trippie
thick.
Redd.
Trippie Redd. Yeah, and he's younger.
She was thick and hot. Like we were into it for sure growing up.
Wow.
Yeah, she was one of my crushes, definitely.
I definitely don't know what she looks like, but I'm familiar with the name and Boy Meets World and everything like that.
It's also a city, apparently. Though.
Yeah, it is in California. It's like right off the coast of what beach is that? It's like closer to Venice.
Yeah.
And then it's
Santa Monica right there.
Yeah, and it's like a straight shot up like through these fucking like mountains and shit. Like it's such a cool like view. And that's one of the reasons why I love LA. It's like every time I go and every time I'm there for a long period of time, I always just find something new. And I have to say this just because we're doing this podcast. I compare LA to like GTA 5. And no, not GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. And then I compare like Atlanta to like a PS2 game. So when I say that, with LA being like Red Dead Redemption 2, it's like you can be out there like doing your main quest and then you'll just like fall into some side quest that can help you like later in the game. Like I swear to God.
Yeah.
Like
So what happened for you that made you draw this parallel?
So like anytime like I'm in LA, like I'll just randomly be in a room with somebody, like, or I'll just hang out with some friends and I'm like, oh, like we're finna go to like this person's house. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, how do y'all even have access? They just invited us. Like, I met them last week and like I got cool with them. So like now they're inviting us. It's like, what the fuck? Like you can just randomly, like I randomly ran into Tyler like one time when I was out there. Like I've hung out with Angel Hayes when I was out there.
I'm not sure everyone has the same experience, Cam.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's just
that's
like,
what I'm saying for me.
I'm not sure side quests are just popping up for
I'm saying
everyone.
for me, that's my experience for sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, dude, you just go to LA and you meet fucking Tyler, the Creator.
It's just
run into Ben Affleck at coffee every time.
And then it's like those things that happen, they end up like helping you later on, like whether it be that year or like next year, just building a relationship with that person. It's like Red Dead Redemption. It's like, oh, fact, I fucking ran into this fucking drunk old guy in the mountains and he gave me like 2 gold bars and I was able to buy the horse that I needed to finish this mission.
Are we still talking about your last trip to LA or what? I was like, did we switch to the video game or real life? No, that's funny, man. No, I mean, I think one thing I will say is that like planting those seeds though, because I mean, shit, we're even realizing it, bro, of like shit that I was like doing and like even shit that Henry's been doing, like whatever from like a while back. It's like some weird things start to happen. Like if you actually like, you know, genuinely put yourself out there and like you make the effort to go to these things that at face value might not look like shit. You know, you're just going to a homie's house and then it's like, oh, well, actually my other friend was here and he knows this, but you know what I mean? Like you just start to put yourself in these positions where, you know, there's no guarantees to any of this shit, right? Like I've been on tons of meetings or like calls or gone to events and I've met no one important to this point, right? That I haven't seen any return on certain things I've done yet. But like, once again, there's other things where it's like, I had no idea that person was going to end up being this, you know, over here or know this person or whatever, right?
Exactly.
It's even like you saying you got lucky getting the sinks, you know. You were probably just putting yourself in positions, planting seeds to get lucky. You know, you can improve your chances of getting lucky. You can't force luck, but you can, you know, improve your odds.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because, you know, your homie that you shouted out, like she had just put you in this play, but like you probably never knew.
I didn't even realize that one, she could even pull some strings like that, and then also two, like I didn't even know like that she had access to these people to even have that even happen.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So once again, it's like you just are living life, and of course, like I think the biggest thing we talk about is that like you got to just be aware, bro, of like a door that might be like sort of cracked open, or like you hear it unlock and you got to just like try and open it. You know what I mean?
Like you have to attack it, and that's what I'm learning, or I've learned, especially within the past year and a half. Like a lot of times I feel like I'm not qualified just because I don't have the accolades, I don't have like the cosigns or whatever. But sometimes, like you say, when you hear a door unlock, even if it's not open, fuck it. Like I'm gonna at least check it out.
Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah,
yeah, no, for sure.
It's a good one.
Well, Cam, we love the music, big fans. We have entered a final segment of the podcast here, Henry. Where we at? Yeah.
See, Cam actually researched the show.
Cam actually watched a fucking episode. Shout out to all of our other guests.
I watched 3 actually.
Wow, which ones did you watch?
And these are all homies, so I'm a little biased. But I watched the Surf one, the Ben Riley one, and then the Suave one.
Fire.
Yeah.
Great episodes.
All of them.
Great episodes.
I didn't realize how long ago Suave's was.
He was early.
Like 19 or something, bro.
Yeah.
82.
82
This dude's
now.
a full year and change, you know, in the past. It's crazy.
Indeed.
Because I was texting him earlier and he was just like, yo, how's it been going? Like, podcast is crushing it. And I was like, yo, I just tweeted all of our old episodes out because I finally was like, yo, let's use Twitter. Even if it's just that I at the guests so that they retweet it.
Yeah. Even if Twitter is about to fucking collapse.
Yeah, well, shout out to Elon. But regardless.
Hint, by the way, for question coming up.
Exactly. So regardless, I was just like, all right, yeah, bet I'm going to just tweet all of our old episodes and like get, you know, the artists or the guests to retweet. Yeah. And I was like tweeting at Suave and I was like, oh shit, like episode 19 or some shit. That's crazy.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, so I don't have to explain this to you. Short answer, this or that, word association. Let's get it started.
Let's do it.
Let's get into it.
You can choose either your favorite producer, engineer, or videographer to work for free for you for the rest of time. Which one do you choose?
Videographer.
Probably the most expensive,
Yeah.
I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cam, you just bought Twitter.
God, wild.
What is the first thing you do to improve the company?
Get rid of the bots. You got to get rid of the bots.
I think Elon's, that's what he's doing that, right? I think
But
he's
keep
trying to do
but
that.
keep the porn, right?
For sure.
Okay, good.
No comment.
Henry and I are like, please, Cam,
Absolutely.
keep it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, for those that indulge, I don't indulge personally, but
Oh, yeah,
I'll keep it for you guys.
He is a
Free
man
speech.
of God. No, he's a man of God.
First Amendment. He's an American as well. I
Is it speech the thing that we're looking for here?
think video could be. All right, we're moving on.
Anyways.
Cam, what is the first day of the week?
Sunday.
I agree. See, this is going to be a good one. I think the answer is we're going to do a compilation later. It's going to
No
be a pretty
comment.
split. This could be another potential future compilation. Do you put ketchup in the fridge?
Yo, his face.
Me personally, I don't know.
After you've opened it. Still out.
Oh, so after I've opened it, yeah, of course.
That wasn't part of the question.
Well,
So
I
don't
just-
add to my question.
I just want to know.
Yeah, after I've
unimportant.
opened it, of course.
Unimportant.
Of course, he says, see?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Cam, how many holes are there in a straw?
It's two, bro.
It's an interesting one, though.
It's two.
Or is it one really long one?
It's one really long one, but because it's
See what I'm saying?
but also too, like, because of the sides of it, it's two holes regardless. Like, I understand, because essentially too, when you think of a hole, like, for example, like, think of a snake hole, like it's just one way down. A rabbit hole is one way down. A straw has two openings
Because
so
it
it's two
opens on
holes.
the other end.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Okay.
See,
This is a good one.
He's breaking it's holes for dummies. I
did wanna hear the-
broke that down for us.
I did want to hear the logic.
I was like,
so
oh
it's
yeah,
good.
he's got a good point. A good point.
Cam, 16-year-old Cam has just moved in with you as your roommate.
So shake and bacon.
Shake and Bacon has just moved in with you.
Wait, was that sophomore or junior year? Go ahead.
What is the first thing you argue about?
Make songs. Make more songs.
Load
I
up.
like it.
For sure.
I thought it'd be like some petty roommate shit, but that's actually
Nah,
motivating.
Make more songs.
Make your
bro.
bed.
Nah. Hell no.
Clean up your shit. Bacon.
Bacon.
Cam, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate Ben as an interviewer. And don't lie.
9.8.
Fire.
Because I will give Ben credit. He did the research as far as my initial rap name, and then also to the group, which so again, I was in 2 rap groups. I don't know if you knew that, but that specific group, I don't tell nobody about that group at all.
You tell me later how you even figured that out.
Yeah, like, I'm curious.
I'm good.
I'm curious.
I'm good.
I would have assumed the second group you would have figured it out, but that first one, I don't tell a soul about that group.
He's good. He's good.
That's what I'm here for.
Cam, you must get rid of 3 states. Which states do you delete?
Maine,
Always Maine. Why?
Vermont,
Okay.
Nebraska.
Pretty good. I like those things. Except the lobsters in Maine. We get lobsters.
I didn't know that.
Most lobsters come from Maine, I think.
I didn't realize that. I just look at Maine as that one state in the corner of the country that nobody gives a fuck about.
It's that too, but
It is also that.
it's a pretty perfect summary of it. But when we do consider the lobster that's hanging out on the ocean side,
Yeah.
we reconsider getting rid of it,
Indeed.
giving it to Canada.
Cam, how many blunt wraps would fit in a standard size suitcase?
As a smoker, I'm not gonna know this, but
I mean, a non-smoker.
yeah, as a non-smoker, excuse
Okay,
me.
I was
don't
like,
know.
You,
Yeah.
you can do that. You know it.
How big are
You've
the
got
blunts?
rapper friends, right?
So like a standard size leaf, maybe like this, flat.
And then you roll it. Are they
You can keep them flat,
okay?
and then a standard size like luggage that you would.
Like a overhead or a
Let's go with a checked bag.
if it's flat.
Yeah.
I'll say about 11,000.
I was going to go in the tens of thousands as well. Yeah.
11,000.
Okay.
Good. Wrapping up the short answer. What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Part one.
Part one.
And saying it like that with that tone specifically.
Yo, to ask a non-smoker about the blunt wraps, I
thought it was a little
That's tough.
kind of interesting.
That was interesting. I like that one.
Moving on to the this or that. Piano or guitar?
Piano.
Flute or trumpet?
Flute.
Writing digitally or pen and paper?
Digitally.
Coffee or tea?
T.
Text or call?
Text.
Get $1 every time you compliment a stranger or $100 every time you insult a stranger?
Every time I insult a stranger.
He seemed like such a nice guy until that.
I thought it was easy the other one.
Yeah, I thought he was just going to 100x his compliments. You know, just meet 100 more people. But
Amazing.
he's like, wait, I can do 100 times less work.
Yeah.
And all I got to do is insult some people. Sign me up.
Lose the ability to use GPS for life or only be able to use emojis on social media for life.
You said lose the ability?
No GPS forever.
And then
You got to print out the directions like back in the day.
Or only emojis. You have to speak in emoji on social media.
Oh,
Ooh, yeah.
I can go with no GPS. I'm really good with like finding my way.
Cam, are you going to wear sweatpants every day for the rest of your life? Or never wear sweatpants again?
Never wear sweatpants again. Fuck.
He's way too fly.
Yeah, fuck.
Well, you're not, the Nike and Adidas modeling contracts might not be coming in, but we'll see.
Fuck them. No, I'm sorry.
I was like, yo, that's a clip right there. Fuck them.
Oh, man.
That's what basically Kanye is saying. I mean, I don't know.
Last one of the this or that. Get the identical tattoos that 6ix9ine has, or pay an extra $20,000 a year in taxes for life.
Yeah, I'm paying those taxes, bro.
Part two.
Excuse me?
Should I have
paying
update
those
maybe
taxes.
$50K a year?
No, you had the question right the first time. We're
Okay.
good with that.
All right. Final part is the word association. I'm going to give you one word, shoot one, maybe two words back at me. Here we go.
All right.
Starting as always with hip hop.
Influential.
Politics.
Meh.
Goatee.
I don't have one, even though that's not one.
That's fine. First
I
thought.
like that, yeah. You're really going for speed here, so
Okay.
that works. Knife.
Gun.
Baseball.
Cap.
Gold.
Who?
Gold.
Oh. Jewelry.
Taco.
Salad.
Toilet.
Bowl.
W.
Dubs.
Lil.
Tekka.
OnlyFans.
Subscriber.
Scam.
Likely.
Yes. TikTok.
Underrated.
Last one. Squares.
Pants. I'm sorry. I felt like it was so much pressure.
It was.
Yeah.
And you totally crumbled under
I was going for circles.
He was going for circles. Your latest release. This has been Cam the Artisan. Super dope interview. If you fucked with it, please like, comment, subscribe.
Turn the notification bell on as well, please.
At One More Time Cast on all social media, even Twitter now.
That's right.
So amongst your porn, you can look at our episode tweets.
As long as it's alive, anyway.
Exactly. And until next week, Henry, what are we doing?
Getting out of here.
We're getting the fuck out of here.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Hop up in that foreign skirt, no. All the homie, this shit tripping, no. Middle finger to the law.